It's time to join Montana's very own and your voice for agriculture, Talkin' Ag Lane Nordland, for today's LaneCast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the LaneCast Ag Podcast. Well, these statements made by President Donald Trump this past Thursday and Sunday night really caused a stir in the livestock futures this past Friday and a stir on social media with ranchers.
Expecting a beef deal?
I assume you're talking about beef, yeah.
No,
to get beef prices down. The only price we have that's high is beef, and we'll get that down. And one of the things we're thinking about doing is beef from Argentina.
Now, those were statements that the president made from Air Force One last evening, being on Sunday. Today is October 20th, and a lot of emotions out in the countryside and a lot of concerns about the price of cattle right now, the price of beef, and of course, as I mentioned, concern for producers in the countryside. And joining us here today is Colin Woodall, CEO of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. And Colin, we've seen markets react to tweets from the president and individuals like Elon Musk in the past that can really send the markets upward or downward. But beef, really, futures markets taking a hit this past week. What is the view from the National Cattlemen's Beef Association on how these comments and a plan to import more Argentine beef could impact the U.S. industry?
Well, first and foremost, we're not supportive of what the president is pitching. And we're extremely disappointed in the comments that he did make, because he has not taken the time to sit down and really understand how beef pricing works, the economics of this industry. And we made it very clear we're willing to sit down and have that conversation with him. But as you have mentioned, this is not just about how prices will react in the future. It's about how we have already been hit as an industry. Whether it's the president, whether it's the Secretary of Agriculture, I don't think there's an awareness that even the most innocuous of a comment, even if it's just a passing comment, can have significant ramifications on the cattle markets. And that's what we saw on Friday. And you also have to keep in mind that it's not just when the markets go down. Anytime there is a significant run upwards, it also can have an economic impact depending upon where you are with your hedging. And so making sure that the president and the secretary understand that their comments impact this market is one of the things that we have spent the weekend and today really reminding them about.
And when we look at the situation at hand, obviously, we want consumers to enjoy beef. We want consumers to use their hard-earned dollar to enjoy, whether that be a burger or a high-end cut like a ribeye in a celebratory meal, and because we want people to eat beef. But a part of this equation too, Colin, is that beef demand, despite prices being high due to drought in the size of the U.S. cattle herd, beef demand has not gone down.
Beef demand is strong and continues to be at an almost 40-year high. And driving that is the overall quality of the product that we're producing. When you look at all the effort that cattle producers have put into genetic improvement, better management practices, implementing things such as beef quality assurance, BQA, we are now seeing all of that come together and provide the highest quality beef this industry has ever produced. And we're excited about that. When you look at the percentage of beef grading prime and choice, and the consumer likes it too, because they can get the exact same high quality eating experience from their grocery store meat case as they can in a white tablecloth restaurant these days. That hasn't always been the case for our industry. They can get that now, and they have shown that they support what we're doing by continuing to buy our product, and they are paying a higher price for it. But you know what? They are paying for that quality, and they continue to want to pay for that quality. And that's a key component. They don't have to, they want to. And that is a big vote of confidence for all of us as cattle producers.
Now, obviously, Colin, leading up to those Thursday comments this past week that really sent those futures market, and we know that folks in the futures market, they can overreact to news, and really at that point it was rumors. I was calling it a Fleetwood Mac album, rumors, at that point on why the marketplace did take such a reversal. I note today prices actually did reverse. Live cattle managed to close higher today, a little mixed trend in the feeder cattle futures manufacturers as well, but limit down on those feeders last week based on rumors. And then the president actually doubled down on what he almost said Thursday. We were assuming what he was going to say, and that he did have a plan with Argentina. I just want to play this quick clip for our audience real quick.
My question is, what do you have to say to U.S. farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, they are a top
Argentina's fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina. They're fighting for their life. You understand what that means? They have no money. They have no anything. They're fighting so hard to survive. If I can help them survive in a free world, I happen to like the president of Argentina. I think he's trying to do the best he can. But don't make it sound like they're doing great. They are dying. All right? They're dying.
What do you mean by a beef deal, sir?
We would buy some beef from Argentina. If we do that, that will bring our beef prices down. Because our groceries are down, our energy prices are down. I think we're going to have $2 gasoline pretty soon. We're getting close. And everything's down. The one thing that's kept up is beef. And if we buy some beef, now I'm not talking about that much from Argentina, it would help Argentina, which we consider a very good country, a very good ally.
Yeah, so obviously the plan that he has is to lift tariffs. That would initially be how we would do that. What is the current tariff situation, not just with Argentina, but other South American nations right now? But there's some other health concerns that come along with beef from Argentina as well.
Yeah, there are. So when you look at Argentina and several of the other South American countries, that tariff is 26%, but then the reciprocal tariff is an additional 10 on top of that. So overall, the current tariff is 36%. But Argentina has shipped beef into the United States. They have been approved for that. In fact, over the past 5 years, they've shipped little over $800 million worth of their product into the United States. And they've only accepted about $7 million worth of our product. That's a pretty significant trade imbalance. We wish the president would spend more time talking on that. We've also had longstanding concerns regarding foreign animal diseases and what's really going on in the ground in Argentina. In particular, foot and mouth disease. South America still has an issue as a whole with the foot and mouth disease. Foot and mouth disease virus can travel on fresh and frozen product. And for several years now, we have asked that USDA send a team down to Argentina to actually see what's going on in person and be able to have an assessment they can bring back to us. But, going back to that clip you just played, there's one thing we believe in, and that is, just like what the president said, we believe in the free market. The free market is what has given us what we're seeing right now with cattle prices, and we want to be able to continue to capitalize on that. And the president, his action is going to have a significant downward pressure on that.
Now, obviously, a lot of negative reaction from cattle producers on social media. I have to say that one of our posts, it went viral over the weekend with just folks sharing their frustration at the news too. Colin, we are at a time, yes, cow-calf producers are in the driver's seat. They're receiving phenomenal prices, but we are also at the lowest beef herd in decades as well. Drought being the key cause right there. But while we do have these higher prices, consumers sometimes don't understand the cost that goes into raising beef or raising cattle that gets turned into beef. Our input costs are skyrocketing. Land prices continue to climb higher. And the question is, how do we keep that next generation or current family operations going for generations to come? Surrounding this question and how it's impacting the market, what is NCBA doing and to address concerns like this, but also keeping people viable out in the countryside when the government shut down and we don't even have a farm bill?
The thing is to make sure that the president, the secretary, and Capitol Hill understand that, yes, while we are seeing some great cattle markets, a lot of the shine gets taken off of that with the increased price of inputs, whether that is the land cost, interest rates, fuel, fertilizers, veterinary products, equipment. Everything that we rely on is also going up in price. So while, yes, we've had an opportunity to see producers get a chance to kind of heal up a little bit, we're not seeing windfalls there. And that has to be a part of this conversation, because again, if he is looking at taking the price of beef down, it means he's going to take down the price of cattle, and that's an impact on us as producers. So making sure that the administration has a better understanding of how that works is what we're spending all of our time on right now. And again, ensuring that they understand this is a complicated system. It's a complicated system in producing beef across the board, but especially when you bring in the international component. And it's not as simple as just waving your hand and all of a sudden having more beef that's going to bring the price down. There are a lot of real world implications, and the biggest real world implication is on us as producers.
Colin, is very interesting. Obviously, I try not to read comments on social media posts that we do, but just the outright frustration from Trump voters and supporters. I had several people call me individually that I'm friends with, that I've bought bulls from, that I've worked with in the cattle industry, that are very big Trump supporters, and they feel very alienated because of this. And some of the respect they have for the president, why they voted, is because when he says something, he follows through. So they are concerned that he's going to stick to his guns on this. And as you said, your attention is on this matter. What is that process like, working obviously with your channels at USDA and the administration to try to have an open dialogue about how this truly can hurt U.S. cattle producers?
Yeah, so all of us here on the DC staff and the Denver staff, both at NCBA, we've been on the phone with staff members at the White House, staff members at USDA, members of Congress, making sure they just have all the facts. Because you're right, we're hearing the same thing. We're hearing from producers who voted for President Trump and now basically are feeling attacked by the very guy they voted for. And there is that sense of betrayal out there. And I think the president needs to understand that. And we've made that very clear in the conversations we've had, that this is not just about the marketplace, but it is about the overall reputation of the administration. And then we also have to step back and look at this from the bigger perspective of any White House administration. There are times where they do great things for us. There are times where they don't. The key is making sure that when they don't, that we make it very clear as to why they are taking the wrong steps and the impact it's having. And that's what NCBA is doing right now. And again, it's not just us. We're asking members of Congress that are friends of ours to also call the president or text the president and let him understand what he's done to hurt us as cattle producers.
Well, again, we're going to continue to track this, not just on the LaneCast Ag podcast, but on the Western Ag Network, where we share that news on radio, TV, and across the Western United States. So make sure and stay tuned into this channel, and we'll see where it goes from here. Obviously, I'm glad to see part of those markets recover here at the start of our week, but very concerning to so many people out there. So, Colin, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Lane.
With that, friends, thanks for joining us for this special edition of the LaneCast Ag podcast. I'm Lane Nordlund. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the LaneCast with Talkin' Ag, Lane Nordlund. Don't forget to subscribe to the LaneCast on your Apple or Android devices. We look forward to joining you next time on the LaneCast.